So y10 is writing an equation in slope-intercept form. So that's y equals mx plus b. So first we need to find the slope. The slope is change in y. So -6 minus -10 over change in x, -1 minus a -2. First we find the slope and you get it to be 4 over 1. So the slope is 4. And then remember we take our y and we put in y equals mx plus b, and then we use 1 point. So it doesn't matter which point. I'll use -10. So the y is -10, the x is -2, and I need to solve for b. So this is -8 plus b equals -10. I add 8 to both sides, and I get b equals -2. So y equals 4x minus 2. And that's what I sub in. I will show you another example. So remember, you find the slope first, change in y over change in x. So you get -4 over -1, which is a slope of 4. And then you put that in y equals mx plus b. You are going to sub in the value. So if 7 is y, it doesn't matter which point you use. You just need to solve for b. So 4 times 3 is 12. 12 plus b has to equal 7. I subtract 12 and I get b to equal -5. So my slope is y equals 4x minus 5. And if I sub in the points, I can check. So 4 times 2 is 8, minus 5 is 3. 4 times 3 is 12, minus 5 is 7. I can sub in the points and make sure I wrote it correctly. Example for y10, now you're just writing it by yourself. So it's still the same thing. You need to find the slope. So change in y over change in x. So you get 2/5 is your slope. So you know it's y equals 2/5 x plus b. And I am going to use x as 0 because it's easy. You actually are given the y-intercept. But you know 2/5 times 0 is 0. So 0 plus b has to equal 2. So we know b is 2. So when I write this myself, I get y equals 2/5 x plus b. Okay, we did this last week. Find the slope first and then use either point to solve for b. So now you're just writing it by yourself. So you do the same thing. You need the slope first. So 4 minus 2 over 5 minus 0 gives me 2/5. I am actually given the y-intercept here, but if you didn't notice that, you can sub it in, right? So if x is 0, so we have 2/5 of 0 plus b has to equal 2. So 0 plus b equals 2. I know b is 2. So I get y equals 2/5 x plus 2. Okay, this is what we did last week. Find the slope first and then use either point to find the y-intercept. y11 is writing it in standard form. So you want it to be ax plus by. Oh. So now you're given y11 is standard form to slope-intercept. You want to write it in y equals mx plus b. So you are solving for y. So I have x plus 19y equals 15. I subtract x to both sides and I get 19y equals -x plus 15. I divide by 19 to both sides and I get y equals -1/19 x plus 15/19. And I can leave it like that. It doesn't matter. I don't have to simplify. So y equals -1/19 x plus 15/19. And that's in slope-intercept form. So the same thing here. You want it in y equals mx plus b. So I'm going to get rid of the 3 to this side, and then I'm just going to rewrite it. So I have 20y equals 16x minus 3. I divide by 20 to both sides to get y equals, I can simplify. So this is 4/5 x minus 3/20. And I can leave it as proper and improper fractions in simplest form. So it's y equals 4/5 x minus 3/20. The last example for y11, same thing. You want it in y equals mx plus b. So you subtract 9x to both sides. You get -6y equals -9x minus 8. You divide by a -6 to both sides. So you get y equals, and you can simplify. So this becomes 3/2 x plus 4/3. Okay. And that's it. That is in slope-intercept form. So the last IXL Y13 is parallel and perpendicular lines. Parallel, same slope. Perpendicular, negative reciprocal. So if line A has a slope of 5/7, line B is parallel. Parallel, it's just going to be the same slope. So the slope of the line is 5/7. The next example, so we have an equation of a line, y equals -4/7 x plus 5/3. It's parallel. Parallel has the same slope. So the slope is going to be -4/7, not x, just -4/7. The next example, we have to find the slope first, and then because it's parallel, it's going to be equal. So the slope is going to be 5 minus 1 because it's y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So we get it to be 4/3. So once we find the slope of the original line, now it's parallel, so it's going to be the same slope. So the slope is 4/3. Line E is y equals 76x plus 34. We want perpendicular, so it's the negative reciprocal. So this is 76 over 1. The reciprocal would be 1/76, and it's negative. So the slope of the line perpendicular is -1/76. Line G has a slope of -75. H is parallel. So if it's parallel, it just has the same slope. So it's -75. As I said before, there is no Zoom today. I will answer emails later in the day. If you need help, send me a question and I will explain it in an email. Remember, parallel lines have the same slope. Perpendicular lines, the slope is the negative reciprocal. And slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. This is nothing new. We did this all last week, and we will move on tomorrow, Wednesday, and I will have a Zoom on Wednesday, but for the new lesson. Have a good day.